everything. So people would learn maybe from the people of knowledge who they themselves do these things, by the way, on how to do it properly, or how we can, once we standardize it and we normalize it, and because it's part of our deen, by the way, to marry and to have polygyny, and to men and women who have desire towards men, and there's nothing wrong with women having desire, man. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله ولي الصالحين وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. As you've seen, that the internet is going crazy again, and it seems like our ummah, sadly, we wonder why we're not winning Palestine, why we're not winning the wars, why we're being pushed and we're debased and dishonored all over the world. Well, because we are so shallow, and whether right or wrong, whether what's going to happen out of this whole fiasco, bottom line is the way people are responding is incorrect. And that's why, because we're shallow. So what are we talking about? We're talking about this whole Muhammad Hijab scandal that people are bringing about. As a behaviorist, a student of behaviorism and psychologist, to understand people's behaviors and to expose certain things, and maybe we can fix certain things, and yes, sometimes to refute certain things. The bottom line is that, first of all, the amount of evidence has been produced so far, it's at best premature, but yet the amount of comments and condemnation on both sides has been crazy. And again, our ummah needs to chill out. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, if a person comes to you, fasik specifically, comes to you with some news, then make sure you check it. Why? Because it might cause you and mislead you and lead you into fitna. Now, is this the first scandal that we've heard? No. Anyone can be next. I might be next. Okay, people can just be like, hey, look at this guy, what he did, or look at what he did this, and all these Muslims and these things and these people, and no one is safe. No one is safe. Now, I'm sure a lot of people, just for my start, would say, oh my God, are you defending him? And again, it only goes back to affirm what I'm saying, that we're so shallow. And even though I didn't even start my lecture properly, people are going to say that I'm defending him. Oh, but he's a man. Isn't he the toxic masculinity guy? Listen to what I have to say. Now, first of all, no matter how much we discuss this issue, no matter how much people try to shame this brother or any other brother or this sister for that matter, or anyone else, bottom line is, guys, it's not going to stop. If you understand female and male behavior, human nature, the fitra, you're not going to stop men and women trying to be together. Not just that, you're not going to stop polygyny. The only problem that we have actually at hand right now is that Muhammad Hijab is famous, supposedly, in the scene. Now, probably people know that we've had a little exchange at one point, so there's no point for me needing to defend him necessarily. I could be like, you see, this guy made fun of me, he called me Ronaldo, blah, I should just attack. It's a problem. Had it been Ahmed from East London, just a guy who doesn't really he probably had like 100 followers on Twitter, this sister would have probably never gone viral like this in public. Actually, to add even more, if you know female behavior and psychology, she would probably not even propose to Ahmed from the streets of East London, even though he might be a very nice guy and he drives Uber and delivers for Uber Eats. She would have not been interested in Ahmed, because in general, for a woman, she looks at a man like a person of knowledge or a person of intellect or a person of fame, and then she will propose to him, or even will lead to this position. Now, do men seek out women for misyar marriages or polygyny? Yes, that could happen. Does it happen a lot? No. As a counselor, and even my team of other extra 9 people can affirm when we deal with these cases, that it's somehow that the woman seeks out the man. Maybe he's famous, maybe he's not, but maybe she sees something in him that represents value to her. In that moment, she might lower her requirements and give up certain rights, which is kind of like what misyar is. She wouldn't do it for just Ahmed who drives Uber. She needs to see something in him that represents value to her. There's a value coefficient in human nature that needs to make sense at the point of the transaction, i.e. the marriage, or even before it for the woman, what's called a perceived value, okay, in the marketplace of marriage. If not, she will not go for it. Why would a woman, imagine, who by, I guess, agreement, people would say that women don't really kind of go forward and propose, because by nature, it's usually men who propose for marriage. It's men who seek out women, isn't it? What would cause a woman to seek out men? That's what we need to understand. It's very simple. His value and the thoughts in her mind, what would mean for her to have that value in her life. And yes, she's willing to give him a discount on the transaction. And I know it sounds very rudimentary the way I speak, but that is correct. That is the way it is. And indeed, life is transactional. Even with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, هل أدلكم على تجارة تنجيكم من عذاب أليم? Should I guide you to a tijara, to a trade that will save you from hellfire? That you believe in Allah and you do righteous deeds and this, you do certain things, you get Jannah. It's a tijara in a sense. Qard Hasan, what is it in the Quran? How many ayat we have? Bottom line is, I think you get the point. But what we need to understand is, in general, as Sharia as counsels, we find that it's mostly women who initiate misyar marriages. And they use, whether consciously or subconsciously, that's something to be debated. When it's conscious, it can become malicious and manipulated. When it's subconscious, well, it's just nature. It still could be wrong and it could still lead to a lot of problems, but it is what it is. But they use a term called a Trojan horse strategy. I'm sure you're all famous what it means. But basically, I'll give you something to allow me to come in, i.e., I don't need time. I don't need money. I don't need this. I don't need that. That's how it happens in general. I'm not saying there's no exceptions, but in general, the woman would go and say, hey, brother, salam alaikum. I'm interested in you. Would you like to? I'm so like, first, it probably won't be like direct like that from the beginning. It'll take a few messages for her to introduce herself, admire his work. A lot of the guys might be like, nah, maybe the guy's already in polygyny. Maybe the guys already have 2, 3 wives. Doesn't matter. But now here's a proposition. So if that girl would have gone on the street to him just like that, tick for tat, he probably would have said no. Trust me. Why? Because there's an inequality in value. Subconsciously or consciously, it doesn't matter. You can call it ethical or unethical. Bottom line, that's what it is. Men are going to think like that. Why would I want to be with a woman? I'm in a successful position, really successful. Why would I want to be with a woman who's no one really? I'm not saying stuff to put this down, but you know what I'm talking about in terms of value of how the world sees things. But then she says, wait a second. Now the Trojan horse comes in. I don't need money. I don't need a house. I don't need anything from you. I just want to be with you. So now the mind of the man goes, okay, now he sees value. Why? Because value is by either having something or by lowering your standard, right? So if the guy's here, you're probably here, but because you've taken certain things from him, burdens, certain responsibilities, you've lifted yourself up higher. Now he sees eye to eye and says, okay, it's a pretty good idea. So you mean I don't have to do this, but I can just get some benefit? Now, there'll never be any exchange without benefit on both sides. What's the benefit on all sides? Maybe some of the sisters and brothers who are very shocked by what I say right now would say, well, the benefit is that she gets to spend time with him and she gets bragging rights. And women love that. I am married to Muhammad Hijab. It's kind of like, when the sisters marry an ex-roadman and they go to the sister's halakha, my husband was a roadman. All the sisters are like, oh my God, wow. But you'll never see a man doing that. Be like, hey, bro, going to the guy's bruv halakas. And he says, my wife used to be a stripper back in the days. I mean, he'll probably never do that. Marry a stripper, first of all, who was a stripper back in the days. But he'll, even if let's say that happens, I hope it doesn't, he'll never even bring that up ever. But women, oh yeah, my husband was a gangster. Sheikh so-and-so was a gangster and this and that. Sheikh so-and-so was a bad boy back in the days. Women like those bragging rights. Whatever that man's past is or whatever it is, but they see value. So she gets that value and he gets what value? He gets the value that he doesn't have to pay for this, and he gets to have intimacy with her. And she gets to have intimacy with him. And there's nothing wrong with her wanting intimacy or him wanting intimacy as long as things are done halal. At this moment, is there anything, according to the 21st century standards, unethical? They both agreed. They both see value in each other. There's a proposition, there's a negotiation. Ethically, anything according to, let's say, American or British standards? No. maybe according to Netflix standards or high inflated value of, I don't know, sanctity that people have tried to put today. Okay, Sharia wise, no, there isn't. I know people are like, oh my God, but no, there isn't, because it's about the negotiation. The same you negotiate mahr, the same women love to keep saying that I can put in the contract that you're not going to have a second wife, or it's a negotiation. The same way on both sides, there can be a negotiation that it's agreed to, right? Now, details, whether there's a wali and who was the wali and blah, 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 and all these, we need to see and understand. Mistakes can be done, no doubt, but was any rukun of the, or pillar of the nikah violated? Really? She has the leverage. The only thing he has, he cannot be like, well, I'll expose you. Like, who is she, first of all, to be exposed? You see the imbalance? That's why the Trojan horse strategy was to enter. Once you enter and the walls have closed and the defense is down, because now you're on the inside, then the war starts. And this is a very common strategy amongst Muslims, amongst non-Muslims, and with all due respect, again, it's mostly done by women. Why? Because due to the world and the way it is, in general, guys are not going to proposition women online, especially where they can be exposed, where screenshots, they're not that stupid, most of them anyway, who have a lot to lose. But there's some guys who do it. By the way, there's guys who are not famous who continuously message women on DM, just a bunch of low level, and just simping for them and say, I'll do whatever you want. Just show me a picture of you. I just want to see some toes. And we deal with these cases. And by the way, everything I say, it's somehow inspired, directly or indirectly, from cases that I deal with over the past 21 years. Yes, I know it's the argument from experience, but that is definitely a very valid argument. Anyone change that agreement and the rules, the one who does change it, then that's the one who's the culprit. So let's say Muhammad changed anything in the agreement, then yes, then he is to be blamed and blameworthy and wrong 100%. But if the sister changed and she wanted this and she wanted that and she started, then she is wrong. Because bottom line is the value and the exchange happened at the moment of the nikah. And if anyone would have wanted to do something different, they should have done it at that point and only at that point. Do you understand what I'm saying? Again, I don't know yet. I'm just trying to explain the situation, guys. Don't think that I'm defending this one or that. I'm just trying to explain the situation from a behavioralist point of view, from psychology, but specifically from Islamic psychology and understanding fitrah with evidence. So bottom line is, if they were married, I'm just saying if, because I'm trying to go with the presumption that, let's say it happened, because I know a lot of brothers marry, and a lot of brothers marry in misyar, and a lot of sisters are the ones who propose the misyar. Why? Because again, the men are not just going to go in general to a woman of lower status and by the way, sister, salam alaikum, sister, I have a question. Are you married? And would you accept no this, no that, no, 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 no? In general, even if the woman would accept that for someone else that she's approaching, should not accept the man to go and be like, hey, by the way, I want to marry, but I won't give you this, this, this. I won't give you anything except that you're married to me. Most women be like, what's wrong with you, bro? And I have evidence that I can show you this. Many sisters and clients message me and show me some nasty things that men send them and some really simpy. One of the last ones was the guy was telling her that he would be okay if she accepts him as a man, as a husband, that he would be okay for her to have sex with other men if she wants to sometimes. It's not a big deal for him. And he thought that's some sort of value proposition and that he will impress her. And of course, alhamdulillah, the sister told him, get the heck out of my face, bruv, and blocked them and said bye-bye. Unlike other sisters that we saw and we reacted to in one of these podcasts, who was talking about how some guy exposed himself to her on these marriage apps. But wow, she didn't block him. Funny enough, she continued to discuss with him and talk and text. And on the podcast, she was flip-flopping when the guy was questioning, why didn't you block him? Same thing to the sister. Why didn't you block him? Why don't you just stop? Why didn't you, if you didn't see video or this or that or names or AI, whatever, block and just say, this is not for me. Bottom line is that they didn't. They went forward. If they did. I'm trying to go based on the fact that they did, just so we can really take care of all these doubts from a ethical point of view, UK, and from a Sharia point of view. The bottom line is, so far, unless the person changed their agreement and Muhammad deceived her, he promised her heaven and gave her hell, then 100% she has a point. But if she somehow used the Trojan horse strategy to get in by lowering her standards and her requirements, and he accepted it, which naturally a man might be inclined towards that 100%. And I hope guys are at least honest enough with themselves. And those people know my work and my courses. They know that I talk about male and female psychology. Especially, I teach women about men, honestly, how we are. Because that's how we are. No matter how much we try to fluff it around, bottom line, that's how we are. And in general, the world kind of like, yeah, they're men. Yeah, that's how men are. Yeah. But sadly, a lot of women don't want to believe and they get hurt. This misyar, this way of, don't worry, I don't need time. I don't need this. I don't need that. Just marry me. The only thing that might be a point of contention here is that sometimes they say, don't hide it. Okay, I won't take money. I won't take as much time, but I need to be known. This is, I agree that sometimes women will put that and the guys will push back on that. Why? Again, we have to understand why misyar is practiced, as I've said before. It's because of the restrictions that are put around marriage. And had restrictions been dealt with, and had the Sharia and Islam rules and regulations being proposed and promoted by all imams and all people without fear of repercussions and losing their paychecks and political correctness, maybe we wouldn't be in this problem. Because bottom line is, in the end of the day, brothers and sisters, men and women are going to continue to do these things. Women are still going to be impressed. No matter how many times you want to shame or you want to talk to them or you want to educate them, they're still going to look at a man of high value and image as like, wow, I just want to be his wife. And no matter what, guys are going to look at an average girl, whether she just serves tea or cleans, the tables at a restaurant, as like, wow, she's pretty. I would marry her. Even if he is like high status, that's just the way they are. And even if the guy's married already, he'll still want to have another wife. And in the end, for those who say no, bottom line is statistics expose most people that you're still doing polygyny illegally and unlawfully, i.e. masturbation, pornography, escorts, prostitutes, massage parlors. Even for those guys who are championing that, no, I just want one wife. The problem is that your internet browser exposes you. And yes, we have information to that. Now, not you specifically, whose name is whatever and starts with A and ends in whatever, but men in general. And that's how the world works, right? And that's why fatwas of misyar have come to be, where it's, okay, a difference of opinion, and the worst, the person can say that it's makruh because of the outcomes. But it's because people have put limitations on the natural fitrah. And human beings, if they still fear Allah, now people don't, they do all kinds of stuff, it's much easier. But if they still fear Allah, they'll try to find a way to move around so they can still actually reach their objective in halal. Same thing as to why the reason that they'll allow it, for example, if a person makes an intention to divorce a woman after some time, if you look at the fatwa that came and why it was an issue at that time when the fatwa came, is that students from those countries were going to the West and they didn't want to commit zina. And they asked these fatwas. And while there's no hadith or Quran to back that fatwa, oh, Sheikh so-and-so said this, and the opinion and the Hanbali method is this, and then, the Shafi said that. Bottom line is they'll cook it up and they'll say, look, it's better for you guys to just do that. Make an intention or whatever, you want to divorce them at some point, then khalas, just go, but don't expose that intention. I don't agree with that 100%. It's my personal opinion. Those are fatwas of sheikhs. Bottom line is, I'm just trying to tell you why these things happen. And the more you try to limit people, in that case, the guys were going to study overseas. Their wives would probably not be happy with them marrying if they would know. Also, there's regulations and limitations from bringing people over or moving there or whatever. People are going to find a way around it. Today, tomorrow, and the day after tomorrow. And my solution is that, hey, why don't we just practice Islam properly? Why don't our imams just teach Islam properly so we can start avoiding all these rubbish discussions and exposing and cancel cultures and everything, so people would learn maybe from the people of knowledge who they themselves do these things, by the way, on how to do it properly, or how we can, once we standardize it and we normalize it, and because it's part of our deen, by the way, to marry and to have polygyny, and to men and women who have desire towards men, and there's nothing wrong with women having desire, man. If a woman is alone and has, of course she's going to be desperate, and of course she's not going to go to Ahmed from East London who's selling cupcakes. She's going to go for hijab, man, who's online and is the high value man, straight up. Oh, brother, he's not a high value man, how dare you? I'm telling you how she perceives it. And that's why the whole thing happened. Because there was a perception of value, a proposal with reductions, value increased. Guy didn't refuse, it happened. Now again, I'm theorizing, you understand, guys? I just want to explain to you, it doesn't matter how many times you expose it, it's still going to happen, guys, 1,000 times. Please understand that. Please understand that it's going to happen 1,000 times, 1,000,000 times. And we deal with 21 years of counseling, guys, 9 counselors, a combined experience of over 200 years in counseling. And we see this every week, every month, every so and so. As for people who don't want a real solution, it's kind of like talking about climate change but not doing anything about pollution. It's kind of like talking about lung cancer but not banning cigarettes, just putting a sticker on the boxes. It's kind of like talking about poverty but not actually doing anything to deal with the wealth that people have and they're squandering it and so on and so forth, and just talking about how we're going to solve poverty. It's a joke. Bottom line is you won't do nothing. Mark my words. Now, let me review everything. Am I supporting Muhammad Hijab? No. Am I supporting sister? No. Am I some knight in shining armor trying to attack hijab? No. And support a sister? No. Am I some misogynist, blah, 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 trying to always blame women? No. All I'm trying to show you is how funny people can be, how people react, specifically the people who are around. It's not even about Muhammad Hijab and this woman. This is their personal thing. Let's wait to see how events unfold. Don't jump the horse for the Christian. Those guys, man. What a joke. But it's our fault because we gave them so much food, so much information. It's no one's business what two people do in their marriage, unless someone really hurts the other person. Just because things might have not worked your way, or this or that, it doesn't mean that you need to go out there. Now, how do you deal with people who are criminals and who have made this as a habit of jumping from woman to woman and then being the Trojan, using the Trojan horse strategy and deceive? Yes, there are those people and they need to be exposed and they need to be dealt with, but there needs to be proper solid evidence. And indeed, because of their repetitive type of behavior, there is solid evidence against those people. And those people need to be chastised, punished, and women have to be warned against them and protected 100%. My question is this a case like that? And some of the other cases that we've dealt with and seen, that is maybe up to you to see and decide. But people are going to definitely have a field day with this video and they're going to accuse me of everything. But then guess what? I don't really care. I'm just trying to teach you some behaviorism and some basics of human psychology. I didn't take anyone's part. I want you to consider and you do what you want with this information. Barakallahu fikum. Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.